Continuation of the interpretation of verse 118 of Surah At Taob. The Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, remained silent. When the news reached me that he was coming back, I was overcome with anxiety, and thoughts began to come to me about how to lie. I said to myself, how can I avoid his wrath tomorrow? To do this, I even resorted to the help of all family member, who could give me good advice. When it was reported that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, had almost arrived, all thoughts of lying left me. And I realized that I could never avoid this if I told a lie. Then I firmly decided to tell him the truth. Finally, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, returned, and when he returned from a trip, he first of all visited the mosque to make 2 rak'ahs in it. Then he sat down in front of the people, and then those who were sitting at home came to him and began to justify themselves before him and swear. There were more than 80 of them. The Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, agreed with what they said, took an oath from them, asked for forgiveness for them and entrusted to Allah what they had hidden. When I approached him and greeted him with peace, he smiled angrily and said, "Come." I went and sat down in front of him. He asked, "Why didn't you take part in the campaign? Didn't you buy a camel?" I said, "I bought it." By Allah, O Messenger of Allah, if I sat next to any other person in this world, I would be able to justify myself and avoid his wrath. By Allah, I have been gifted with the ability to argue. But I swear by Allah, I know that if I lie to you today so that you will be pleased with me, then very soon Allah will make you angry with me. If I tell you the truth, then you will be convinced that I hope for the forgiveness of Allah. I swear by Allah, I have no excuse. I swear by Allah, I did not take part in the campaign, although I had never been so strong and secure. Then the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "This one told the truth. Get up and wait until Allah judges you." I stood up and the people of the Banu Salama tribe also rose to their feet and followed me. They said to me, "By Allah, we do not know that you have committed a sin before. Couldn't you justify yourself before the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, as did the others who remained in the city? It would be enough for you that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, would ask forgiveness for you." By Allah, they continued to rebuke me until I wanted to go back and refute everything I had said before. But then I asked them, "Has anyone else been in this position?" They replied, "Yes, 2 other men said the same thing, and they were told the same thing as you." I asked, "Who are they?" They said, "This is Murara ar-Rabi al-Amri and Halal Umayyah al-Waqafi." They named the names of 2 righteous people who had taken part in the Battle of Badr, from whom I took an example, and then I decided not to change anything. Of all those who did not take part in the campaign, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, forbade Muslims to talk only with us. People began to avoid us and changed their attitude towards us. Even the earth changed beyond recognition for me, and this went on for 50 days. My 2 comrades humbled themselves, sat in their homes and spent their days crying. I was the youngest and strongest of them. I went out of the house, performed for us together with the Muslims, went to the bazaars, but no one spoke to me. I even approached the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and greeted him with peace when he sat down in meetings after prayer, and to myself I thought, did he move his lips to answer my greeting, or not? I prayed beside him and furtively looked at him. When I began to pray, he turned to me, and when I turned to face him, he turned away from me. Finally, the alienation of people seemed to me too long, and I went to Abu Qatada. He was my cousin and one of the dearest people to me. I climbed over the fence of his garden and greeted him with peace. But by Allah, he did not even return my greeting. I said, Abu Qatada, I conjure you in the name of Allah, tell me if you believe that I love Allah and His Messenger. He remained silent, and I repeated my question, conjuring him. He was silent again, and then I repeated the question for the third time, conjuring him. He said, Allah and His Messenger know better. Then my eyes filled with tears, and I climbed over the fence and left. Soon, when I was walking around the Medina bazaar, I met one of the Nabateans who lived in Sham and came to Medina to sell grain. He asked, "Who can tell me how to find Kaab Malik?" People began to point to me, and he came up to me and handed me a letter from the Ghassanid king. That your comrade has rudely treated you, but Allah will not leave you in a house where humiliation awaits you, and will not let you fall. The truth is with us and we sympathize with you. After reading the letter, I said, this is also part of the test. Then I went to the furnace and burned it. After 40 days out of 50, the messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, Husayn Thabit, approached me and said, Verily, the messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, orders you not to approach your wife. I asked, should I divorce her or not? What should I do? He said, no. Just don't go near her. The same messages were received by my companions. Then I said to my wife, go to your family and stay with them until Allah pronounces His judgment on this matter. The wife of Hilal Umayyah came to the messenger of Allah, peace him and the blessings of Allah, and said, O messenger of Allah, verily, Hilal Umayyah is an elderly poor man with children, and he has no servant.